All right. 3, 2, 1, go. I'm Pat.
Hey, I'm Jeffrey.
School
And
starts tomorrow.
yeah, we are talking about how you didn't buy new clothes and shoes and a new pencil case and all that other stuff.
No, she didn't want anything. And the like school supply list now, Jeff, it's so sparse.
Really?
Yeah, you need like 5 mechanical pencils and that's it. Yeah.
Why?
I don't know.
Is it just because everything's done on their little computers or
Everything,
what?
yep. So she got her computer yesterday. So everybody gets their little computers. But the school just has everything. You don't have to bring in paper bags to cover your books. No.
Do you have to bring in 3 boxes of tissues?
You don't need to bring in 3 boxes of
No shit.
tissues or like 5 fucking rolls of toilet paper or something. Yeah. Or hand sanitizer was the one.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, and even way before COVID. So they were all like, bring in hand sanitizer. So it's fucking, kids are just full of germs. Which is true.
Oh, they're chock full.
Yeah, chock full.
They're disgusting.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, the days of the early elementary school list are long gone. In fact, I don't think even through elementary school, I mean, I think I saw crayons on the list once, and that was when she was really little, you know. Oh,
Yeah, I can remember. So back in the day, yeah, the list used to
are we
be.
gonna do back in the day tonight? Are we gonna do this?
We did a little bit of that, but no. Well, this is about school starts tomorrow. But yeah, it's so you needed some crayons, you needed glue, you needed
Scissors,
some kind of scissors, you needed
Scotch tape.
colored pencils, Scotch tape.
Yeah,
Um,
paper clips. I remember getting those little brads too.
yeah, Yeah.
Those things that you used to stitch together loose leaf. And then you need a wide rule, then later college rule.
yeah.
Yeah.
You had to bring your own paper.
Bring
You
your
had
own
to.
paper.
Um,
Oh. Yeah, you need like a ruler.
yeah, some kind of rule or something like that. You needed erasers, you needed pencils, you needed regular accoutrements. Yeah, but you say they just do everything on their little computer now, huh?
Everything, man. So
Good.
yeah, I don't think
Good.
I've ever seen her even bring home a book. So except for like a library book, it's like, well, you gotta read this, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But like a text, I don't think I've seen her use a text.
Yeah.
So, oh, to be fair, I don't use texts either, really, anymore.
Why should you?
Yeah,
I mean, that's the question. Like, this whole concept. Like, I remember what 10, 15 years ago when dudes would come in from outside the company or whatever or the district, and they would start talking about like, hey, I want you to take a look at this 40-page packet about how we need to move to the paperless office. Right? Remember that? Remember how
Yeah, I
this was
do
this
remember
big,
that,
like it
yeah.
was a fucking religious movement. Like,
Yeah.
and this is actually what it looks like, is actually toting less crap.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not even that. I mean, I don't even use a text, not just because it's a book, but like I mean, shit. I don't think I've been in a class in a decade where we actually had a hardback text. So but you'd have a text that was just online.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I see. I think that's even dumber in some respects now, because nobody reads them. So all you do is search through it. There's no way you can sit there and read that stuff. So on an online textbook, man, they're so boring and so dull. So I've gotten rid of most of those too. So I don't even use a text. So
You just use the sections that you probably need.
I don't even, yeah, like most of my stuff that I teach is like the stats and stuff like that. It's like fucking use Google. So Google it, bro.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
no. I yeah, okay, yeah, no, I got you there.
They
I
don't
mean,
change, man.
I mean, this is my question: is so when you were buying books in college, right? So yeah, you'd have to buy all these little books. You'd have to buy, these little things where it's like, read The Little River by Hawthorne or something like that. Whatever.
Oh,
right?
well,
I got
yeah,
you.
if you're in that kind of degree program, sure.
But when did you ever read a textbook from start to finish?
I have, and mainly because it was required. And I would have professors who would do like quizzes daily. on them. But I mean, that's just really like weak, reading enforcement mechanism. I mean, if that's what you want them to do is read the book, then read the book. I don't know, man. I guess I've gotten to the point in time now where it's just like, you guys ain't gonna read it, man. So I gotta find a better way to teach you. So
Well, it
yeah.
was imperative for me that I made them read. It was sort of my whole thing.
Well, yeah, you're an English teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't teach English, nor would I again.
In hindsight,
So,
no. I mean, I suppose there were smarter ways that could have gone about it, but
I actually do teach a writing class though.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah, but that's different. All I do is proofread their shit. So
Well, I mean, at this point too, like the nightmare of what we had to go through to actually cite sources
oh, it's so
back
easy
in the
now.
day. Now you just type in the shit, does it for you.
Well, it's been able to do that for decades in Word, but there's like, yeah, you just go to a citation generator.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm still in the habit when I'm doing my own citations, I punch them in through Word and use the references tab on there because I don't know, man. The last couple things that I wrote had quite a few citations in them. So
They better.
it was way easier to do it there than just hit sort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, say for
Yeah.
you. You'd better be.
Oh shit! Back in the day, I remember having to do that bullshit by hand. So
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, but it's just different now, man. So school is it's a different kind of place to be. So in terms of how you actually learn shit. So AI is rapidly changing. I'm thinking like one of my classes, I might actually take it back old school on a couple things. Go back to like oral examinations. So have you ever done one of those? An oral exam?
Heard of them? Never took one.
Oh, okay. So yeah. Can't cheat on that, man.
I suppose you're right.
Yeah. I
Well-
tell you, man, I got so many. There are so many students that I have right now that are absolutely banging out papers with the Chat GPT. So they're just banging them out, man. So
This is the thing. At this point, I would be halfway inclined for where I am right now.
Yeah.
I would be halfway inclined just to not have them write them. I would have them do basically what I would do is I would have them do in class.
Yep.
Just basically responses or essentially like one-page essays.
Yeah, I do. I do
would
one-page
not.
homework assignments. So mine are pretty straightforward too, man. I mean, they're quick enough where okay, you can punch in a Chat GPT, but you're gonna spend more time fixing all the mistakes than it would for you to actually just bang it out. So.
Yeah, and what I would do is I would ask a question that was very, like sort of I don't want to say necessarily esoteric, but sort of very compartmentalized to
Yep.
only the section that we covered. At that point, because again, I don't want to know what the internet's opinion is. I go to great lengths to avoid that because people can't write and they're fucking dumb. So I mean that's I'm not talking about I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about the license that we gave everybody to be a film and literature critic by merit of having access to the internet. So I don't want to hear what these people have to say.
Yeah, no, I don't. I'm not interested in that either.
No.
So I mean, I compartmentalize all my assignments where it's like one page. If you're doing more than the page, I'm not going to read it. So and then number two, it's like I don't care which question you pick out of this list. You pick one. So and you go answer that one according to what the book says. That's why I use the search function. So in that it's like no, you don't read it. You read it cover to cover. So just use the search function. It'll bring you to that section. Read that. And then illustrate your answer with an example from your own experience. So
yeah.
And so I've seen a couple of people try and Chat GPT that one, and I even caught one not too long ago that was like, well, as an AI, I don't have much experience.
Jesus Christ.
I was like, fuck, you didn't even read it, did you? So,
it's fine. You can really ding someone for that too if you saw that.
You can. Our school's struggling with an AI policy right now, so
I think everybody's is.
yeah, we don't have a blanket policy just quite yet. So I mean, the mothership is working on one, so we'll probably do whatever they tell us to do. And then after that, I think it'll be up to instructor choice, but I see a lot of my colleagues, they're just absolutely fucking struggling with it. And it's like, hey man, just go old school on some of this stuff. You know, don't, I mean, unless you're gonna do what I do for a living, they're probably not gonna be writing that much anymore in the future, man. So, because like even I mean even email is like dying in some companies, man. They do it all through like Slack or something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Or
So
whatever yeah, whatever their proprietary or whatever it is. Yeah.
yeah. I mean I get like on my work email I get at least like 30, 40, 50 emails a day. Depending on what there's no way I read all that shit. There's no fucking way. So, yeah, that's and I don't delete any of my emails either, so I've got like a million of them in there. So
Delete everything.
I don't delete them because that's come back to bite me in the ass several times. So where it's just like, oh, I forgot about this. It's like, oh yeah, she did ask me about that, stuff like this. And so it's like, hey, can you look that thing and just search my email? Oh yeah, yeah, sorry. So
No, I get that, and look, that's to say, if I'm not in that same position that you are,
yeah,
so it's not my concern. My work emails are so trivial that
right.
it's barely even worth mentioning. But in the past, yeah, I had a certain policy of delete everything if it's important. They'll send it again.
Yeah, I did that
But
for a while. That did wind up biting me in the ass. So a few times. So
yeah, that's the thing. I understand.
I just had to learn not to worry about how many emails were unread in my inbox.
I can't do that.
I know.
It's too disconcerting.
Yeah.
It's a cause of stress. A
Yeah.
big cause of stress.
Yeah, I spent years trying to come up with a good email organization system. So like, okay, how do I save shit that's important? How do I categorize it and stuff? And after a little while of trying to do that, and
You try to use the little flag.
try using little flags and
yeah.
the stars and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and it's just like, and now people send me flagged emails. It's like, well, whatever.
That's not for you to decide.
I'm not gonna read it anyway,
That's
man.
my decision.
Yeah, that's my decision. So
I'll tell you what's important.
yeah, but like, and the funny thing is, any pertinent emails that I get at work anymore are usually like 2 lines long. You know?
Well,
Yeah.
and that's the thing is ultimately what I ended up doing was the search was it just hit the button, right, just to filter it. And I knew the people that the important emails were coming from. If it was, if you hit that thing, it's like if it's from this person or this person, then it matters. The rest of this is like, hey, there's an HR fair going on here. There's a
Right, yeah. Oh, yeah. Come in for flu shots or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like burger burn. So, all kinds of stuff, man. Like, yeah, and I get like weekly emails that are basically rundowns of everything that's going on. And those are, I mean, there's several thousand words. So,
Yes.
yeah. And
Yes.
it's just like, come on, man. So,
dude, I get antsy when I see a text message that's too long. I'm like, I'm not reading this.
yeah.
And it's so non-consequential too.
Yeah. Yeah, I've gotten worse about responding to text lately, especially from my students. It's just like, you know what? You don't need to know right now. So, yeah, it's okay. So, I got your message, buddy.
The etiquette on text messages is weird now. I remember reading something about sort of like the unspoken language of texts, right?
Huh.
Where it was punctuation and emojis are very deliberate, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of that also has to go into the timing upon which you respond. And I guess that was the first thing for me was, so you and I went through the evolution of talk in a generation, right? So we went through the whole thing of like, all right, so you're either home to get the phone call or you're not.
Right.
Okay.
Then you have an answering machine.
Some people didn't.
Some
That's
people did
totally
not.
fine.
Yeah,
But
that's okay.
eventually you have an answering machine.
I remember the old rule: let it ring 7 times. So
7 times.
it used to be set if you're calling someone, you let it ring 5 to 7 times.
Oh, you let it ring. Oh, okay.
Before you
Okay.
hang up.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Right.
you
Right.
know,
Right.
you never know if they were like in the other room or
Absolutely.
you know, had to get something out of the oven or whatever.
In the shower,
yeah,
or
in the
whatever, right.
Well, you're not gonna run out of the shower with 7 rings, man. But well, some people would. My mom was like,
Yeah.
yeah, she'd like slide tackle her way to the fucking
Absolutely.
phone, yeah.
Well, especially
So,
in her job, right? Too. But yeah.
yeah,
But yeah. So you have that going on here. Then we get to the answering machine, right? You get one of those.
yep.
Um.
In the beeper.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that. So
Yeah.
you know, you had the pager there for a little bit,
Mhm.
right? And then
I
it
never
was.
ever had one of those. I never
No, I
had one.
didn't need it.
Yeah,
I didn't need it.
you weren't slinging dope.
I was not. I was. So the two things: I was not performing surgery. I was not slinging dope. So I was not really pager material, and that also meant that yes, when I parked in a spot, I went in front, in face first, instead of backing it in, because the only people that need to back it into the spot,
You mean combat park?
right,
Right.
are doctors and drug dealers.
Yeah. I know people who do that. And they're, oh, that's how they taught me in the army, and so that's just the way I want to do it now. And it's like, okay.
Are you in the army now?
Yeah, I mean, would you think Independence Day 4 is going to come here?
I know,
like,
I
yeah.
know, and yes,
you
that's
got to
absolutely-
roll out of here that fast, bro?
we by regulation we had to do that. When we were in the oil field, and that was, I get it, because it was like, if the shit's blowing up,
you need to get the
like, all right, fine, all right, and they'll yell at you if you don't. But yeah, so then it goes from that to the actual cell phone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then at that point, that's where the etiquette starts to come in, where it's like, well, I can't take your phone call. Then it's like, well, yeah, but it has this little text message function. And at the time, it's like,
Yeah.
well, be judicious with these because they cost me a nickel every time that you send one or I send one.
They took a while to type in there too, man. So the
Oh,
ones
yeah.
where you had to push the button like 3 times to get the right letter.
Or you let it predict. And
Oh man, I didn't have a phone that could do that for a while.
where it was just like you press 246 and it's going to come up with the closest, words that it thinks that you're going to say. But at that point, the rules change because it's like, well, then I will get to you at my convenience.
Right.
Right. And that's the thing is we hit this weird stretch where, all right, now we just don't make the phone call.
Mhm.
Right. Now it's like, well, I texted you.
Yeah.
You should be getting back with I don't know, 1 to 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, why? Says
Why?
who?
Yeah.
If you need something this minute, hit the call button.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was that was especially when it comes to like male-female relationships. If this person waits too long, or God help you if you got the thing where it says, "Well, I saw that you read my message, but you did not respond to my message."
Oh yeah, I hate that thing. So
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know if you can turn that off anymore. So
yeah, you can.
oh okay,
You can.
I think I did. So well, you're like one of the only people that I text anymore.
Well,
Yeah.
that's part of it too. Is to make this work, narrow your circle. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, there's also a great concern. Like, if somebody sees you, like, I know you were there because I saw the bubbles come up like you were typing, and then you stopped typing.
Yeah.
What's the problem?
What's the problem?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember being able to see that on certain things. Like, I can see that on, see, my brother still uses Google Chat, whatever
Yeah.
it is. And it's fine, but he and I also have an understanding that it's like, all right, if I'm going to send you a message, if I ask you a question, then I'd like a response. Otherwise, it's just a post-it note I left on the fridge for
Right.
you. Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Well, and that's the thing is there's a rule to it. It's like, to acknowledge that you saw the thing I sent, you have to send an obligatory LOL at the end. I'm like, no.
No.
Where are you guys coming from? No.
I mean, yeah, so there's, like, some of my students, they don't get that. And so I do actually have to kind of explain it to them. So in the beginning, I'm like, if you want to text back, ask me a question. Okay? So, and I'm not going to respond to you right away if I'm doing something. So, but yeah, like sometimes I'll have them, hey, I need some help with this. and it's crickets on my end because I'm fucking sleeping or something.
Yeah.
You know, and then hello, can you help me with this? It's like, what? Fucking piss off. All right, yeah. My phone is set to like, do not disturb for most of the goddamn day for a
Well,
reason.
and that's the weird thing is like, especially like you, me, and William, right? With the way that his schedule works, the way that our schedules work, right? There is no godly way for me to even think and remember, like, are you sleeping now or are you working now or whatever?
Oh yeah, it's
right?
impossible.
I'm not gonna remember that.
No.
You and I, like, and on top of that is, let's say I do know that, but if you feel like, oh wow, it's 2:30 in the afternoon, it's raining out, this is prime nap time. What am I gonna do? Like send you a fucking a gif of a jumping robot?
Right.
It's like, you asshole! I can't believe you woke me up for this, right? So it's just, the whole thing is like, I don't expect anybody to get to me in a timely manner. If I need an answer, you know what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, call you.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And I still have the expect. You guys know this. You guys have called me. You guys are like.
If I see a phone call from you, it's gonna get answered. So yeah.
The same thing for you. And you guys, it's like like my brother tells you, he calls us like 5 p.m, right? And he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, man. I didn't know you were sleeping." It's like, Will, you're not supposed to know
you're
that I'm
not supposed
sleeping.
to know.
It's fine.
So, yeah.
You have no way of expecting this.
Yeah.
Especially when my students were all over the map about their times.
Oh, that's right.
Here to here.
Yeah.
Well,
you're on a more stable schedule now, aren't you?
Yes. Good. Yes. I am. I mean, I do still kind of like dink and dump around, depending on how I feel, but most of the time I'm gonna get everything done between midnight and 2.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And then sometimes I'll do a little work in the evening, or if I have a manuscript to type, I'll take care of that. But
yeah, that's better than it was before. So.
Oh yeah. No, cleaning up the people all over the globe and their needs really did a wonder at getting my schedule back to normal.
Yeah, I'll bet. So,
yeah, that's there you go. Text etiquette.
Text etiquette. Yeah.
Down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't know, man. There's a shrinking group of people that I'd like to keep in touch with, and it's just the rando one every now and then. So, like, I'll drop a text to somebody, hey, I haven't seen you in a while, what's going on? So, no need to respond. So, kind of thing. So,
well, what I wouldn't mind is the occasional update.
I do try to give those. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
But it's the update doesn't mean that, like, I can't do the thing now where like you're watching the baseball game at your house, I'm watching the game at my house, right? I can't do the thing where I text during the game. If you want to get me before, you want to get me afterwards, okay. But I'm gonna see what you said. But I'm like, I'm not thinking. I'm just trying to
watch the game. I've done that still a few times. My brother and I will do it to each other if we know that we're watching the same game. So it does happen from time to time. I don't know. We'll see how the football season goes here.
Yeah, that starts up not too soon, right?
Yeah, not too soon.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I'm actually doing fantasy football this year. I got roped into a league.
You are kidding? Really?
A real league, yeah. So.
What's the format?
I don't know. I think it's 9-man. Weekly changes.
Is it like a cash league where everybody can get the same players? It's how you spend the money, or
it's a draft.
So it's a draft.
It's
okay.
a draft.
It's a rotisserie league, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know what it was called.
I think
that. Yeah, I think you're right. It's a rotisserie.
If it's wrong, I guarantee you, Will is like the force is
is
twitching right now.
I think this one's auto draft though, so I kind of like that.
You just put in.
It takes like a second. It's like, here's your team.
Wow, that's like the Powerball of yeah.
So I don't know. I'll have to double check, but I think that's how they do this one. So I know the draft was always like the really fun part for some folks.
Well,
So
it was just in the sense that uh, it was just a reunion. It was like I don't see you guys all that often, and especially to have
oh
you all in
yeah,
the same room. Uh, yeah, there was it's like this is the only time I'm going to see you this year.
some of those guys, yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, we'd rarely, yeah, like especially Rob and Charlie and those guys.
yeah,
So we'd only
yeah.
see them once a year. Um, but then yeah, I don't know though, man. I mean, eventually after a little bit, you're either in and you're like paying attention to your shit, or you're checked out. So because it's like I'm so far behind me, I'm fucked. So
Well, I mean, yeah, there's that, and there's also the expected diligence where it's like, well, how come you weren't watching this? I'm like, I don't know.
I don't care. Yeah.
And it's not necessarily an I don't care kind of thing. It's like, and it's not even necessarily like it's not necessarily that like I'm out of it by week 4 or an injury has crushed
Oh
me or
no,
something like
no.
that. It's like, um,
It's like week 12 rolls around, and yeah, you just kind of like I'm, I'm like 4-8.
well, and I mean, like I know at some places, and I know that some of this has changed because like I imagine that you can do this on your phone pretty easily
Yeah,
at this point,
yeah.
but. You at the time where it's like there were some people where they had jobs where it's like, well, I'm on the internet all day, it's no problem, right?
Oh, okay.
And then there were, places where I was like, you can go to the company site and that's it, right?
Oh,
If
yeah.
you leave the company site, we're going to get a report and we're going to write you up. And,
Don't you touch that Minesweeper button.
Jesus Christ, man. And so, like, again, I'm not picking on anybody, but they're like, how come you didn't check this? I'm like, I was at work.
Yeah, exactly. I was at work.
And then, of course, the response, and they're not wrong. They're like, well, then just, check it when you get home. It's like, how come you didn't see this on Tuesday? It's like, well, because I went to work, I came home, I ate 2 giant burritos and passed out because I was super depressed.
And my team sucks, and it's all bad.
What else? What else you
What
want
else
to
you
pile
wanna
on me
know?
for?
Yeah.
Do you think I don't feel guilty about this enough already? It's like, yeah, no.
Yeah, I mean, so this, in every league, you got a couple of those guys who are really into it.
Yeah.
And we certainly did when we especially when we were running some of the bigger leagues because we had a couple of leagues that had like 8 or 12 people in them. So yeah,
Yeah. I
um,
think we did a 14 once too.
I think you're right. I think we almost did.
And the talent was
thin. It was thin. If I recall, it was a pretty thin year in general, but so
yeah, quarterbacks were at a premium.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was my Mark Brunell days.
Dude, you could be right. I mean, I guarantee you, like at that point, I guarantee you that Byron Leftwich was
He was
starting
still out
for
there.
somebody.
He
He
was
was
starting
starting
for
for
somebody,
somebody,
yeah.
right? Because if you think about it, that is half the league at the point.
Well, yeah, that's back when Butt Fumble was worth his weight in gold. So yeah.
Hey, I can't tell. Those were the days where you're like, Derek Anderson on the Browns is going to be hot this year. He was hot last year.
Hot, yeah.
And one year he put up like 5,000. It was crazy, but yeah. But then he sucked subsequently. But yeah, it's kind of, again, I don't want to pick on anybody that was into it, and I know it's sort of my own shortcoming because it was like, well, if I did this, then I should have been more meticulous about it and said like, all right, well then I will check one before I go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
Like I should have done that. There's just a part of it was like, it's not fun anymore.
No, it wasn't. After a while, it did not get. It was not fun.
Yeah.
And especially since we had a couple guys in the league who were just absolute freaking Arab swindlers when it came to trades. So.
Oh, and the accusations.
And the accusations,
there's collusion going on. It's like
Right,
we need to.
What a most paranoid motherfucker. I remember that.
So we need to. It's like everybody clear your schedule for Wednesday. We need to have a council.
Right. You have an owners meeting.
Now, granted, I do know that there was one time where there was clearly bi-week swapping, which is like, okay, well,
yeah,
you can't do
you
this.
can't do that. Yeah,
Yeah, that happened once, but
yeah, I remember that.
and again, that was one of the council decisions where it's like, well, then the penalty should be to make the trade permanent.
Cut it off.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, no. No, but then I still do the pick'em league too. That one's fun. It's easy, and it's also like if you don't get your picks in, you're just fucked for the week. So yeah, they got a hard deadline on that one, and because I think my brother was administrating it for years, and they would, oh hey, I meant to get my picks in. He's like, sorry, you're so
Can't do anything
can't
about it
do
now.
Yeah, I mean the prizes are weekly, so you don't get it this week.
Well, they weren't cash, were they?
No, they're like beer.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So it's not like if you missed out, it's not like you missed out on.
No, some of the guys over there do that shit though. They play squares and stuff like that, and sometimes there's some pretty big fucking money.
See,
So,
those I think are kind of fun. Especially like I remember when my dad would bring those sheets home from work, and he's like, "Hey, you want to get on this? It's a buck." Every now and then you'd win, and you'd like as a kid in like 1990, you're like, "You won." It's like, are you serious? And Dad would plop down like $88 on you, and you're like, I own the planet. I can.
love
Yes,
gambling.
I know.
Dad's a chump for going to work.
Well, he was playing too,
Oh, okay,
but
yeah,
that's the thing. He's like, the kids want to get in on it, cough up a buck, and get in on it. And you'd have to do the thing where you pick the teams, and then the money night game, and then the points.
Yep. Yeah. Well, that's our pick on league. It's the
Yeah.
same thing. So, yeah, it's the same thing. But yeah, there's no cash prize in that. So,
Yeah, because some company pools on that. I mean, that's like a $300 prize.
oh yeah,
every
no,
week.
I've definitely seen a few. I've
Yeah.
worked at a few places where they had monster pools going, and they were just. Well, in one place it was fine, but in one other place it was downright fucking toxic. So.
What made it toxic?
It's just they like just the grudges that would develop after eking a guy out by like a point. So on something like that. So
So the grudges I always saw get built on that weren't from beating a guy for a point. It was like when somebody would admit like they won that week, and they're like, "Oh, my daughter picked those," or if if somebody was. They weren't thinking about the game when they chose. They're like, oh, well, like lions eat Packers, or whatever. Because
lions eat cheese,
yeah. Because those
be eagle,
exactly right. and they would be like, you picked this one.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen some people get mad about that a little bit, and not so much like, oh, my kid picked him out, but. More so along the lines of like, well, yeah, you just randoed it, and then you won 2 weeks in a row. Whereas like this other guys are sitting over there with their fucking books and almanacs and shit, trying to got the slide rule out, doing the math on it.
Absolutely, yeah. And he's like, "What'd you do?" It's like, "Oh, I didn't have time, so I just picked all the home teams."
Yeah. So I've done that. I actually spent one whole season trying to pick losers. So it's the same thing, but people got mad at me because I won almost every single fucking week.
That's what I'm talking about.
And they're like, "You asshole!" I was like, "How are you doing this?" And I was like, "I just look for the team that I'm positive is going to lose." So in each one of these, and so that's fucked up.
It's like, who do you argue? The strategy.
Well,
I mean,
I just figured it'd be easier to pick the team that sucked better, more than the one that was actually better.
How is that not a valid strategy?
I don't know, man, but it worked. But yeah, no, I caught a lot of flack from people.
Okay, so here's the other place where I've seen people throw a fucking hissy fit.
When homers are involved?
No, well, no. It's the same principle. I know you haven't gone in a while, but you've played some blackjack in the past, right?
Oh, fuck yeah.
With other people at the table.
Yeah.
And people will get mad if you hit or stand on something that they don't think is appropriate. Because they're like, no, that next card was my card. I'm like,
fuck off. Actually, it's
mine.
up to me.
It's up to me to play or bust. So it's like,
I've only had that happen to me at a table a couple times, so
Like
yeah,
nobody's been outright hostile, but they always like mutter some shit. Like one dude
right,
was like, "It's all right, man." It's
yeah.
like I didn't think 14 was gonna work. So
I've seen that happen in poker too, quite a bit. So,
how's that happen in poker?
just Texas Hold'em. So yeah, like um, I don't remember. It's been 15 years since I was playing in
you
the
used to
league.
play like
I used to
every
play a
week,
lot.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
but it wasn't like a hit kind of thing. It was if you played the same guys over and over again, beef would carry over from one game to the next. So, and eventually after time, that would build up a little bit. Especially if you had that one guy who was always just like terrible at, actual bluffing or anything like that. Yeah.
Oh, right,
So,
right.
but he tried all the time. So I'd be like, dude, fucking, I can see your molars. You're grinning so hard. So, yeah. So that would happen a little bit. So I don't know. Yeah, I stopped that a long time ago. I To be fair, I wasn't that good at it either. So I only won a few times, and then but I would get tired. If they get bitched, you get bitched at by that too. So it's like, man, I've been sitting at this table 3 fucking hours. Okay, it's like, no, you got to play it all the way through. It was like, you know what? All in, all in, all in. I'm out. So yeah,
That would, okay, that would piss people off.
it would piss people
Yeah,
off.
yeah,
But
yeah.
at the same point in time, you'd be sitting here playing nickel dimey bullshit when there's just three of us left at the table. All right, and so you're sitting here. What are you gonna raise them like a fucking nickel? Are you serious? Let's play poker, kind of thing. But no, 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 that's this valid strategy, and blah 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 blah. And it's like, yeah, but I gotta work in 6 hours,
That's the
bro.
problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, I know, I know. It's like, well, you're gonna play the game seriously? It's like, because you're not gonna come back. Then it's like, then I'm not gonna come back.
Yeah, that's eventually how I got.
I'm sorry.
I was like, no, I'm not gonna come back anymore. So it's
Like I'm not picking, and it's again, I like playing poker, right?
yeah, no, it's fun.
And I wouldn't, I certainly wouldn't mind like sitting down at a table with five guys. And it's like, hey, okay, here's the other thing. We all brought $10. We all brought $20. That's it.
Yeah. Oh God. So yeah, I've definitely been to poker matches where you basically have unlimited buys, and it's just like, you got to be fucking kidding me. So it's like, we're gonna be here for days. So
Yeah.
yeah. And then but then you always have that guy who, like, just doesn't know how to handle money. And he's out in 10 minutes, and he's like halfway through a beer. So and that's like the first one of the night. And it's like, well, what do I do now? It's like, well, let me back in. Let me back in. And we're like, no, man. And so yeah, you just have to know you have to have all the rules kind of laid the house rules laid out before.
Well, it's not even that complicated. I mean, you have to. This is okay. You and I have had this discussion in the past, and we've talked about this in terms of like video games.
Mhm.
But this also goes to board games. It goes to card games. You have to respect each other's time. The rules that you make have to be done with respecting each other's time.
Yeah.
Right now, I understand. Okay, don't get me wrong. I understand those 7th grade summers.
Sure, where you can play Axis and Allies for 4 fucking days straight.
You keep
yeah.
the board, and especially like if you had a family's house or something like that, it's like, hey, no problem, keep your board over here. We won't touch it.
Yeah, no worries.
Right?
Yeah.
Totally fine.
Mhm.
But there just has to be something once you hit the age of like 20, where you just have to look like we all have to pay our own way.
Mm-hmm.
And that also means, and I don't know, 30 and 40, where it's like, bro, I got kids.
I got
right?
kids. Yeah.
Right?
So.
As a matter of fact, I have to take her to school in like 45 fucking minutes.
Yeah.
The sun's been up for a while.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Just the first thing that you should do is look and say, like, does this respect the time? Look, if you like, even with Monopoly, if you're gonna play, I'm like, just distribute the properties. It's fine. Just shuffle them up, give them out. That's fine. Whatever. Anything that expedites this.
Oh, that takes that game. Well, I mean, just playing Monopoly straight up shouldn't take you more than an hour usually. So, but you can get a game in half an hour if you do it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, there's also a version of like Monopoly that you're playing with the kids when they're young.
Yeah.
And the whole thing isn't like, it's not about winning or losing. It's about spending time with each other.
Right. Yeah. That's
Got it.
That's what Scrabble was for. Monopoly in my house is kind of cutthroat.
I get it. And even if you have like a cutthroat element, great, no
Yeah.
problem. As long as everybody's playing that way, right?
Yeah, that's fine as long as everybody knows the rules. So it's not mom helping out your little brother kind of thing. You know? So slipping him a
Yes,
20 under the
yes.
table. Yeah. So man, I haven't played Monopoly in ages. That game is ass. So
We've made it clear.
yeah.
I don't, I don't support it. I don't. The thing about Monopoly, and they're absolutely right, is Monopoly is iconography at this point, but the game sucks.
Yeah, the game's really, really basic. So
Mr. Moneypenny or whatever, yep, he's a cultural icon at
yeah,
this
yeah,
point.
yeah.
If that's his name, I think that's his name.
I think you're right, yeah.
And if I'm gonna sit there and say dude, the pieces are iconic. I'm like the dog,
The dog, the
the
iron.
battleship, the iron,
Why do you have an iron, man?
the hotly contested cannon or spinning wheel.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Those were used as pieces in another game, though, weren't they?
Mine came with those.
No, I know, but they came from a different location.
Oh, right. We saw those in Diplomacy.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
they
it
were
was
the armies in
same
diplomacy.
goddamn
yeah.
shit.
And the battleships.
Yeah.
I still have that. I
Yeah.
have that copy of that with the colored
Yeah.
battleships. Yeah.
The thimble and was that it? The race car.
The race car.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And the top hat. I almost always took the top hat. So.
It was always a fight for the dog.
Yeah, in this house I can see that. Yeah. My house, not so much. So.
Well, if they had a cat.
I think I always took the battleship. So, or I mean, my brother always took the battleship, and I always took the top hat. So,
I'm surprised you guys didn't take the car.
Dad was the car. So, yeah,
Understood.
Yeah, Dad was the car.
Did you know anybody that was like, I call iron?
No.
I knew people that were big on the thimble.
Yeah, that was always mom, if I'm not mistaken.
See, that's a stereotype.
Yeah, see, but we didn't play it that much after a certain point in time because my dad would not let us off the hook. And we get frustrated, and so we just, yeah. And I mean, there was a lot of summers where we spent, when we were camping, it was just raining like a motherfucker. And so we played a lot of either Monopoly and then eventually Scrabble. So
Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
we had almost
Did
switched
you
to
guys have
Scrabble.
that dope ass travel Scrabble board?
The metal one?
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. It lived in that trailer. It lived in there. Damn, I wonder if that's something still sitting somewhere in my parents' house. That'd be cool to have.
That would give you like the warmest memory.
Yeah.
For about 10 seconds.
It might still be there. I don't know. So, I don't know where it would be, but it might. That might be something that my dad would squirrel away. Because we did play a shitload of that.
Well, how attached to did your father have like sentimental tendencies to things?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
So he's a pack rat, dude. So he's just very organized, but he kept everything. So, yeah.
How is it that you and I are so detached from material shit?
I'm a little bit more attached now than I was maybe like 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
As my daughter gets older, yeah, there's like things that
Is that it?
she outgrows, and I'm like, nah, I'm keeping that. So,
Okay.
Yeah, so that's changing for me a little bit. But like other material things are, pretty straightforward. It's like, is it broke? No. Keep it. It's like this real simple flowchart logic.
Well, it was something that I noticed like a while ago. I don't know how many years, but there was, there were things that I like to collect and stuff like this. And what I noticed was, I was so hung up on anticipation. Like, you want this thing, you get this thing, you get enjoyment from it for about 25 seconds, and then that's done. And then it is now in your house. Right?
Yeah, my daughter definitely suffers from that. So
a lot of people do. A lot of people do at that age. Like I remember when Mike and I every lunch break we're going to buy more Hero Clicks because
oh yeah, I remember that.
It was like opening packs of cards.
Right.
We were well into adulthood.
Yeah, I know, man.
Well into adulthood.
Yeah. Well, I bought those little pirate ships too. Those are fun.
How many of those did you buy?
I got a whole sack of them at home somewhere. So, there was a lot. I have no idea. They were cheap though too. So, I don't recall the HeroClix being terribly inexpensive.
They weren't. I mean, if they were really expensive, we wouldn't have bought them, or at least not as often as we were.
Yeah.
But they weren't cheap either. It was like $10. It was something like that. It was like $10 for a box.
And you got what, 3 in a box?
Like 4.
4. Okay.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, I remember we made quite a few runs to Hobbytown.
We did. Absolutely,
That was
we
going
did.
on.
Yeah.
When we get together every week, then we'd have to go out to eat, and then we'd have to go to Hobbytown.
Can we stop?
Can we stop at Hobbytown?
Yeah. It was like, yeah, absolutely. And they were out at times too. And like I get it, but there's just something where I know that my enjoyment for this crap is so fleeting that it's just.
Yeah.
I know Will still has that bug.
Yeah.
And I know for him it is still some degenerate primitive form of gambling. Like as lame as it
hit
gets.
the white person
but
the right people lottery. So.
Yeah, okay, it's interesting. All right. So there's so I'm helping my student with this because she's putting together a little broadcast. She actually used to be on the radio in Russia.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so she's doing stuff for this, here stateside. But this has to do with like business.
Okay.
Right? So what I want to ask you about, right? Especially since this is your field here, right?
Parts of it.
Well, certainly parts of it. A lot of it, theory, versus this here. Like, what does the professional class, what is, from what you went through, what does that say about basically not management style?
Yeah.
Right? Does it ever talk about satisfaction within management?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Talk to me about that. So you're talking about like, all right, either being a manager or an owner, right?
Yeah.
What are the psychological pitfalls that you fall into?
Tyranny.
Elaborate.
Yeah, well, I mean, if it's yours and you own it, you know, this is why the worst tyrants in the world that you'll find out there that are not, in charge of, like, walled off nations
Right.
are small business owners, man. So I've seen so many of my students who, like, they're in a family business and it's like modern slavery. So
Right.
yeah, it's terrible.
Right.
So yeah, no, that's definitely one of the pitfalls. You never can tell who's going to go power hungry. So there's almost no way to predict that. So, but
Give me an example. What do you mean?
I do it with my students all the time. I have like exercises that I run where I put some of them in charge of a lot of like real authority that can actually affect other people, and I've had students turn into fucking petty tyrants right before my eyes. So with that shit. So
Okay. Why does that happen?
it's just programmed in some people. So if you take a distribution of 100 people out there, you can have 4 or 5 of them. So it's just the way some people are, and usually it happens because they've never been in a place like that.
Right.
So and they see it as an opportunity to rectify all the wrongs in the world and blah blah blah. So
Okay, so this is our apocalypse scenario, and
there's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the
Some people are just mean, Jeff. And some people are just plain fucking mean, and those people usually get further in companies than others. So
all right. This was my question to her, and this was something that I want to ask you here is when it comes down to it, if you're getting into like if you're going to start a business, right?
Yeah.
And
don't. Okay, that's my first piece of advice. I'm done with that.
well, look,
go for it.
whatever it is that you're going to do, and let's say that you're having some success with it, right, or whatever, right? The question I have for you here is take, like you said, you're talking about like those 4 or 5 people that are different. So if we're going to take like an average of we're going to, look at a sample set of 100 people, right?
Sure.
Then you're going to have basically like a baseline of what the average person or normal person is, right?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So when it comes to running a successful business, right? Is it difficult for somebody that is close to the average to be successful at it?
No.
Is it okay?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so it's not the outliers who necessarily are successful, or that you have to have a certain, you know, a certain mindset.
No, there's no. Yeah, I
Right.
mean, you can be lazy. You can be lazy as shit and run a really successful business if you set it up right and you get yourself into the right market, or if you get there first. You know,
Okay.
that happens. You can be the most ambitious, driven, disciplined, intelligent, diehard person in the world, and your business could get wrecked by the market tomorrow. So,
Okay.
personality. I mean, there's some people who will go out there and the Tony Robbins of the world. Oh, it's all mental, and stuff. And
That's sort of that's
yeah,
sort of what
that's
I'm driving at here.
bullshit. So, at least in my humble opinion,
Tell me why.
huh?
Tell me why.
Because a lot of it's going to have more to do with circumstance than anything else. If you want to be a successful business owner, you don't invent something new. You open a fucking car dealership. It's basically the way that, I mean, you're guaranteed to make a shitload of money.
Well, so you're talking about
Yeah.
basically like you have a model to follow.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So you let
So,
somebody else basically take those risks.
yes, if you can start a business with other people's money, that's the best way to do it.
Well,
So, yeah.
I mean, so if somebody creates some kind of a, I don't know, industrial cleaner or something that's successful that they have to take a risk on.
Yeah.
Right? If you have that model to follow and say like, all right, well, they did these numbers,
Yep.
I can do these numbers
Yep.
if I also do this too.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that's not to say that there's no benefit in being the first risk taker, but that's high risk, high reward.
It's very high risk, high reward. So for every one person out there who invents the next, fucking, I don't know, Scrub Daddy. Yeah. Yeah.
I've seen that guy. He's really friendly, actually.
Oh,
It's
cool.
just-
I'm glad to know that.
yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, if you have one person who invents a Scrub Daddy, you have 99 people who invented the not Scrub Daddy out there.
Right.
Who are tinkering around their garage, and that's why they like I always see at late night television those things. You patent your idea with the guy with the stone rock.
yeah.
They just take your idea. Yeah? So that's a good idea. Maybe we can make something of it. And so then they just buy it from you. So
Oh, okay.
yeah. So, but I mean, for every 10 that they buy, maybe 2 of them are successful. It's like, but that's what Mark Cuban does. So
Yeah.
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 And I mean, Mark Cuban is no fucking rocket scientist. So
No,
and
he's a lunkhead, but
he's doing
he's
just
got
fine.
yeah,
He's doing just fine. So in fact, all of the guys on that show are kind of dumbasses, but whatever.
I agree.
So they're all rich, and so there you go. Yeah, and so management and I don't know whatever you want to call the professional class or things like that. It's just their pants go on one leg at a time too, and so they suffer from the same mental deficiencies that you find in the general population. So some of them are brilliant, some of them are retarded. So
Yeah.
just either got in a market and were able to recognize an opportunity and run with it, or take somebody else's idea and improve it, or open a dealership.
Yeah,
and basically
yeah.
bite off a piece of the market that belongs to you. So
Yeah.
that doesn't take mental level genius to be able to do. In fact, most people who do it probably aren't. So
Probably not, because there's a certain amount of when you hit that level, there's a certain amount of self-doubt and self-loathing that kicks in that stops you from just acting on impulse sometimes.
yeah,
No, this is where see her thing. This is the thing that I like about this in terms of her approach is it's not about being successful in business, right? It's about whether or not you actually feel good about yourself in the business that you're doing, and basically like identifying, well, why are you here, right?
Oh yeah.
If you're trying to identify, yeah,
You just walked right into my wheelhouse. So, which is that there's a ton of literature out there on that. It's called job fit. So, if you find a job that actually fits your needs and fulfills you, your psychological needs, which are pretty predictable in most people. So,
how many of them are there? I mean, it's
like
not
5.
I'm gonna say
Yeah, it's not
that
very many. Yeah. So, and yeah, no, there's a lot of stuff out there on that. So, but a lot of companies, they don't give a shit about that either. So, because really,
No.
no, and really when it comes down to it, I don't think most of them should.
It's
So,
not their business.
Well, it can be, but I mean, it depends on what you're trying to do. So if you're in charge of a small company that's got 5 people who are highly skilled and could easily move somewhere else, it's a big fucking deal. So because you need to
Oh
keep
yeah,
those people
okay, yeah,
around. Yeah.
yeah, that
If I'm
makes sense.
running Microsoft, I don't give a shit about it, because everybody wants to come work here. It looks great on your resume. So yeah,
It does. Well, and they're going to also judge you off of like, all right, so yes, I understand this, but here's here's the bottom line. Here are the numbers. We are not meeting said numbers,
yeah, you're on a
etc.
pit plan now.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
So we're circling back in 3 months, huh? Cool.
Right.
I got 3 months.
Right. No, I understand that. It's like, well, you didn't meet your goals, so what we're going to do is we're actually going to raise your goals
Yeah.
and check in and see how you did on those in 90 days. And so you just want me to quit before I get fired, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I get it. No, and this is again, I like this because it's all being done on a psychological level, and I know that you had some talk about that, so I wanted to just kind of.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. No, there's a lot of stuff in industrial psychology about that. So you didn't have any problem finding good material on it. So yeah, there's a lot out there. So like some of the things right off the top of my head that actually help people with their mental health on the job is autonomy is a big one. You don't have someone over your shoulder all fucking day.
Well, that is basically a basic psychological need.
It's something that leads to job satisfaction and lower turnover. So
Well, so that's the thing. It's not necessarily about job satisfaction.
yeah, but I mean, what's the goal is to actually be happy in your job, right?
No.
What's the goal?
So the thing is like not necessarily to be happy in your job, but basically to get down to what it is that you want, right?
Yeah.
So what is your okay? So and not satisfied in the job because that's, I mean, because the answer could be like, well, you don't belong in this, or it's like it's almost trying to take a look. It's like, so what are you trying to take from the job? So is it money? Okay, so if it's money, are you making the most money that you can? If you are, then great. If not, then move on. Right? I'm using that as basically
Yeah.
the most basic example, but is it that you want to be respected by your peers? Is it one that whatever that is, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like gearing toward that in a work psychology sort of way, but not necessarily in a satisfaction way, because it's like, well, you want money. It doesn't matter if you're satisfied in the job. It just matters if you're making the most money.
Job satisfaction is the number one predictor of performance. So hands down. So yeah,
Well, fair enough.
So there's two things that it affects directly, and that's turnover and job performance. And so, if you're not satisfied in your job, you're probably going to trid out of it. So,
Eventually, I mean, if it's
Yeah.
money, then you're just going to milk it and leave.
a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of people do that. Fortunately, a lot
Anybody
of-
in sales? Yeah.
sales, yeah, but I mean, companies are pretty good at like. So that's why like certain salary bands are kind of suppressed in that. So
What do you mean?
well, they'll pay you less than what you're actually worth. So
Oh.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So not particularly amongst highly skilled employees. So with portable skills. So, but with or technical trade skills are actually getting kind of in trouble with this here little bit too, because they're becoming a little bit more rare. So that's when people are like, "Hey, I can make a lot of money at this job, but you know what? I'm not working on Saturdays no more. Fuck off." So and the company's like, "Okay, take Saturday off." And so, but then that's another thing that increases job satisfaction because you're getting what you want out of it. I think I'm closing that circle for
I
you.
think, yeah.
Yeah.
And the question there is like, all right, so what does Saturday represent?
Mhm.
Is it just Saturday, or is it
Is it time with your family?
Yeah,
Is it
exactly, yeah.
Is it the
Exactly.
day, is it the day where you don't have to worry about this place? Whatever. So yeah, no, there's a lot of that. But I don't know, man. It's gonna change the next 5 to 10 years. So so like I was reading on this the other day, and for all the bitching that the generations, and I hate that term, behind us have been doing lately, the generation immediately following our generation is actually getting rapidly wealthy, like crazy fast, like way faster than our parents did. So,
What about us?
we're fine.
We are?
Yeah, there's very few of us, and so and it did take us 15, 20 years of sitting around in the mailroom to get the good job, but a lot of us have got the good job now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm gonna live a little bit longer, so
Well, why is the quote unquote, all right, fuck generation, just say cohort. Because,
yeah,
I mean,
cohort's fine.
we're just going to base these off an age range. Why
Right.
are they getting wealthy fast?
Faster
Yes.
because everybody in the older cohort is retiring en masse. COVID finally pushed them off the bus, so they are all leaving. So and will do so over the course of the next couple of years. And so these are all your big dog, held on to this job for 20 years, milked it dry kind of jobs out there. And a lot of people in our cohort don't want them. So it's just like, you know what? Nah, I'm good at 40 hours a week. I don't want to work no 80. So the guys
But
behind us, they're like, wait a minute, this pays how much? Yeah, I'll work 80.
oh, and they got the energy and the okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, they got way more opportunity than anybody in our generation had. So because we were waiting for another decade or two
shit.
of retirements.
What year did you enter the workforce?
1994. So
What did the job market look like in
I
1994?
have no idea. My dad got me the job.
Like right around that time is actually a little bit before then was the only time that my dad didn't have a job.
Oh. Yeah, that never happened to my dad. So
Because that's when he retired from the Air Force.
right.
Um,
Your dad was an engineer.
yeah, he got on.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was a little bit of time there before he.
My dad never even graduated college until he was 70. So yeah.
See, that's pretty sweet.
Well, yeah, like he didn't go to his graduation ceremony, which is bullshit, but whatever.
Oh, I didn't either.
Well, I know.
Are we gonna have this fight again? Or
No,
are we
we're not
gonna
gonna have this Oh yeah, we did fight about that, didn't we? So
Yeah, we sure did. That was a rat. Well, the whole thing. Okay, so that fight wasn't. Okay, that was in two parts where you said like, okay, well, the graduation isn't necessarily for you; it's for your family members.
correct.
It's like, all right, well, that's. I can agree and I can also disagree. I'm like to say it's just for one or the other. It's for both.
Yeah, I wouldn't say they're mutually
It's subjective and everybody has their own values. The
your
real
family.
debate was whether or not it's okay to leave
Yeah.
after your person has been called. That's where it got really nasty. Well, I'm not opening it up. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, man.
Right.
That one's nice and healed up. Let's leave that one alone.
No, we came to an agreement. It's
yeah.
like you're here, I'm here. We've not made an inch toward the center.
No, it's like you and William talking about movies. So,
Well, fortunately, we don't have to worry about that. Movies have largely stopped for the moment.
Yeah. So
I couldn't be happier. Fuck them.
I've been watching this whole thing with Snow White the last couple of days, with just like, I mean,
Talk about just not getting it.
someone's just not getting it. Yeah, I know, man. So,
Like, you really think this is putting asses in seats, huh? Okay.
no, someone's gonna totally lose their fucking job over this. So who was gonna try and come in and buy Disney last week?
Apple.
Apple. Okay,
That's
that got
yeah.
blocked, right?
No, just it hasn't gone any further.
Oh, okay.
That's to say that it was ever actually going to happen. There was a big rumor.
They're the ones. They're probably the only people out there with the money to be able to do that. So
Well, the money and the desire. I mean, the. So let me put it to you this way: Apple does have a media conglomerate, right?
It does.
But Apple TV, nobody gives a fuck, right?
right.
You want to talk about God? Okay, I'm gonna say a name. Okay,
Okay.
I'm gonna say a name of a skilled person from a time period, and you tell me if you remember this person.
Okay.
Bernie Kosar.
The name sounds familiar. I don't know what he did.
Okay, Bernie Kosar was a very good quarterback,
Okay.
right? During the time of John Elway, Jim Kelly, Boomer Esiason,
Okay.
right?
All right.
Now, here's the thing.
Who do you play for?
For the Browns,
Got it.
right? Put up a lot of great years. That's the thing. No championships because they're the Browns.
Who's the Browns? Yeah.
Yep.
Bad.
But he was good,
Yeah.
all right? But nobody remembers Bernie Kosar, no matter how many yards and how many touchdowns. Apple TV is the Bernie Kosar of streaming,
Yeah.
right? They're okay.
It's a Barry Sanders.
Well, Barry Sanders at least has the benefit. Like if there was a streaming service, right, that existed for exactly 6 years, right, was the best that ever did it, and then just said, you know what, I don't like what this is, I'm done.
I'm done. Yeah. Okay.
Right? Not that this streaming service. So, like Disney Plus, on the other hand, is like, okay, so you came into the league, okay, you had a lot of hype around you, right? You got a hip injury, and you never really had a good season again. You kind of limped along for 9 more years, right? Did you see the unsubscriber numbers? They lost 12 million subscribers.
Out of how many?
It's over 100,000 or
over 100.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but that's the thing is there are a lot of subscribers to all these services, but they're like, yeah, but this is the cricket thing. It's like, no, man, it's not just the cricket.
No,
it's
different.
not. You're losing them domestically. They got fucking whooped on that. Their movies have been performing like shit. Their parks didn't even make the same amount of money. Those went down. That's where they were talking like the possible like Apple buyout, because the only reason that you do that if you're Apple is, hey, let's try and bolster our stuff by having their stuff.
That, and you want the royalties on all the properties. So
yeah,
it's like basically buying yourself an annuity. It's just gonna print money for you.
Did buying Fox do that for Disney?
I don't know. So I haven't, like, you'd have to go in and like look at the different revenue streams in there.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's absolutely humongous. So I'm sure they've made some money off of it, but I couldn't tell you. So I don't know, man. I mean, I'm like a little bit pessimistic about it now. So we started talking with AI tonight, man. Fucking AI movies are less than 2 years away. So, you know.
How does that make you feel?
I don't know how to feel about that.
This is weird.
Do I want to write? I mean, because, like, if I can get ChatGPT to do my fucking homework, I can get Movie GPT to write me a Star Wars movie that's just for me. So, and possibly animate it immediately. So,
Okay. Yeah.
So we're probably only a few years away from that, man. I mean, I've seen. So there's a couple, like, this is how to YouTube guys that I watch, kind of thing. And like, it's crazy the amount of scripting that they're doing with AI now. So it's absolutely nuts. So I mean, we had that stint there where it was nothing but Donald Trump and Joe Biden videos, fucking playing Fortnite, which were hilarious.
Patrick, so it's there's that, but there is a certain amount of joy that I've seen where it duplicates voices, and listening to Beavis and Butthead sing Elton John duets,
that's great,
really made my day. I was like, oh my god, this is actually fantastic, right? But yeah, that's the point,
there you go.
Right?
Yep.
Because
that's hilarious. I'm gonna have to go look for those now.
They're great.
I didn't see any of those, man. Yeah.
You want to talk about just a happenstance? Like, you threw it into my feed, and I was just thrilled. Like, I love this. No, like, think about this for a second, okay? So let's go back to when LucasArts was a thing. Okay. And we're playing it. Just remember those days where those early licensed games, and you've got your first CD-ROM, and they've got Darth Vader in there, but it's not James Earl Jones.
No,
it's some guy.
He's close. Yeah, but
he's not there,
yeah.
right? If they just plugged in the AI, do you know how much nicer that would have been?
That's coming, man.
That's what I'm talking about. That's the kind of stuff that would have been super cool.
Well, they are redoing what? I saw a little while ago they're redoing one of the Monkey Islands.
Are they?
Yeah, I think it's in collaboration with Rare though. They're doing some Sea of Thieves shit.
Oh,
So
right,
yeah,
right,
yeah,
right. No,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's gonna be like a part of that game.
Okay,
Yeah,
maybe that's
yeah,
what I saw then.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, okay. So that's why Guybrush looked at Goofy. Got it. So yeah, but I mean, even that's like not too far away. Where I mean, even games will be written by AI soon. So
Well,
that's actually probably a good thing now, man. So in a lot of respects, I mean, games kind of like movies. Movies like so independent movie houses started picking up steam after the iPhone again. Because you didn't need
rightfully so. Yeah,
yeah, you didn't need a fucking $1 million of equipment to actually film a movie anymore.
yeah.
So you just need a little bit of technical know-how and a good idea. And games have been that way for decades, where it's like, man, I got great ideas. I possess absolutely it's zero ability to be able to implement them, So, but that's gonna change here pretty soon, man. So I've already seen some people writing AI games that are,
I think that's fantastic. Well,
yeah,
and to go into like movie scripts, right? All right, so I hate to take the magic out of it, but realistically, there's maybe 12 story types,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah,
And I'm not trying to diminish it, but when you strip away all the Sturm and drawing and everything that goes along with it, the base of this is going to be like about these 12 archetypes, right?
yeah,
And of course, you can deviate from that, but I mean, that's the same thing. Is like, all right, so if we're going to feed this into here, right? We're going to have a 3-act structure. We're going to have the inciting incident at this point. We're going to have this,
yeah,
this,
yeah, yeah.
right? You're gonna have these plugs like shit. Like if I take you back to 7th grade advanced English, remember when you draw that chart of like this is the rising action, this is the
Oh, the Star Wars chart.
yeah. I mean, so if you're gonna ask an AI to basically plot the basic details with what you chug and say like, I want this, I want this, I want this to so plug it in here like this, and then you come in there and tweak it. Right? Again, this is the same thing where they're saying like the strike is so fucking stupid in concept because then you turn around and say like, well, we can't have you AIing this. I'm like, why? It's like, so by your argument,
Yeah.
okay, by your argument, we should not let the thresher actually, chew up the wheat.
It's
We
better
should
to
have
pull it by hand, boss.
right.
Yeah.
We should have 14 people slicing this.
Yeah.
Right? Now, did increasing the efficiency make farming go away?
No, it got better. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So yeah, no, you don't need to argue. I'm on your side on this one.
Yeah, I know you are.
Yeah. Yeah, you get no pushback from me on this. So I mean, I've seen him walking around in the picket lines a few times on the
Fuck
news,
you guys.
and it's just like, okay, so nobody's even talking to each other right now. So
No.
yeah, the longer this goes on, I saw what was it? They did
That was that.
scrub like Stranger Things, I think.
Oh,
I think I did.
okay,
Millie Bobby
yeah.
Brown decided, "Fuck it, I'm done." I think I saw that. Excuse me. So, because it's already going to be pushed back out. So past like apparently when she was going to get married or whatever. I don't know. I didn't. I just
okay.
read the headline on it, and then there were like a couple other big projects that were completely fucked. Just because it takes a year, so in order to organize all that shit, get everybody together, sign all the contracts, get the cash together, blah blah blah, and so we're looking already at a movie-less summer next summer. So yeah.
Well, and on top of that too, you were talking about one of the last industries, right?
Mm-hmm.
That has like full blown the full dumbassery of unions in places. It's like, well, I get to move the boxes. I'm going to move the boxes, just the boxes.
Yeah.
But if I touch a lamp, right? What's that term that?
Well, we used to call it time slipping. So
whatever that term is basically it's like, what? Did you touch a lamp? Put that down right now.
Put that down right now. Yeah.
You get a suit, right? Or
Well,
whatever.
you owe that guy a day's pay.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, you have this last industry where this is like what's going on, and
well, it's not going to last because the money's going to get zapped out of the fucking industry, man.
well, that was fucking dumb. The Snow White bitch. That was the thing that she got caught saying was, I should be getting paid for every minute that my shit is streaming.
I
I'm
didn't
like,
see that, but yeah,
I
I
was
did
like,
see
are
that.
you nuts?
Yeah, no, they zap all the money out of the system, and yeah, somebody was making that point not too long ago that the whole thing, the reason why Hollywood has got all these rules in it is because it was the only place in the world for years that would actually fork over the cash to put out big budget productions.
Yes.
So he says, but in the last like 10 years, they don't do that anymore. They just tentpole on a few movies every single summer that cost hundreds of millions of dollars. So, but this is like opening the door for like guys with iPhones, who can do it for $50. So, and a good idea, and those people don't live in the United States.
Well, okay, so
Yeah.
there are some studios out there, basically like A24, right? So, well, okay, so basically think about every horror movie that's made traction and made a gazillion dollars out of nothing. That's their whole studio,
Oh,
right?
like Blair Witch stuff.
Essentially, right?
Okay.
These were the guys that did Lamb, they did Hereditary, they did all the
Oh.
the movies that went off huge,
I
but
remember Hereditary.
a beautiful movie. It's actually frightening.
Burst into flames.
Isn't the only thing you remember? But
I don't know why, man. It was that horrifying.
but yeah, that's their entire model, right?
Yeah.
So they're going to take risks on basically low budget movies.
Right.
Some of them are going to sink, of
Yeah.
course. But well, I mean, so this is the thing that would get me about like Hollywood and the studios and stuff here is so if you have to break off that money, that kind of money here, right? It's not as though these studios are just writing the checks out of their own pockets. These are all made with investors.
Yeah, they're all, yeah.
And so if you're seeing this pie get scraped down by these fucking loser writers,
Yeah.
right? And what is going to make you say as an investor, well, why would I invest in this versus, an actual investment,
Yeah.
right? You're talking about like, well, what's my return going to be? Well, at this point, I would rather just park this in here and get the 6%,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And there's just this short-sightedness of like, yeah, well, the CEO of Warner Brothers made $40 million. I'm like, yep, he did.
Yeah. That's
You
fine.
know why he's doing that? By scrapping tons and tons of projects that were going to make
Yeah.
money. You know why he's getting paid like that? Because nobody wants to be that guy.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be the guy that says like, well, so you 160 people worked on this. It'll never see the light of day.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that guy has a lot of reasons for why he is where he is, or whoever it is.
David Zaslav.
Zaslav.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're just gonna have to wait and see, man. So,
Look, I'm just gonna say this. Like, to me, this all seems like everything I'm seeing here looks positive to me.
okay.
Right? In terms of you have a great opportunity, right, to basically starve out a lot of your malcontents, right? The people who are the biggest troublemakers, right? You can starve out a lot of the people who are there just because they were the friend of this person or the son of this person, right? Just go ahead and clean it out. You can get fresh stuff if you're lucky, right? If you capitulate right now, like these guys are saying, it's like, all right, we're going to do this. You have lost so hard.
Well, yeah, I don't think Hollywood would really survive that. So, I mean, it would, but it would just sputter.
It would
around for
evolve
another
into
15,
something
20 years.
unrecognizable, yeah.
Yeah, and so that's why, like, I think you're going to start seeing a lot more interest in stuff that's coming from elsewhere. You know, I mean, if especially AI generated, like you don't have to spend $150 million on CGI effects that can be generated in, Chat GPT or whatever, Movie GPT. You're not going to have that kind of leverage. If
Yeah.
Joe Blow from Idaho and his 14-year-old boy put together the next fucking, Captain Marvel movie, it doesn't suck. So,
Well, and at that point, it'd be like, well, so how can you tell the difference? Because it's either like, all right, well, then you're marketing it on, hey, we did our own stunts, or it's been fed into the machine.
I don't think it's actually going to matter.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
Well, I mean, you'll still see the difference between genuine stunt work because
yeah, probably, but I mean, those big tentpole movies, it's like, okay, so there's always explosions, and it's like just nothing but CGI. So people are
mm-hmm.
fucking used to that.
Yeah. And if it's just going to be CGI, then let the AI put that together, right?
Yeah, I think it probably will.
Instead of basically
So
going through millions and millions with like
and it's
studios.
just gonna gut the entire industry because it's just like music, man. So after a little bit, people are gonna give two fucks about copyright. So yeah, exactly. And so be like, well, okay, so you see the next Star Wars movie, it's like, which one? So
Right.
yeah, they're
Right.
everywhere. Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Absolutely. No, and that's the thing is we've already seen it. We've seen the breakdown of diversification of taste,
uh-huh.
right? So much, and again, I don't have a problem with this. It's just like, for example, to me, I don't think like a dude like Roger Ebert would have a place right now because his whole thing was to look at this from like a mass market approach, right?
Yeah. You can't do that anymore.
No.
That's clearly demonstrated by Rotten Tomatoes and the fucking armies of guys who roll around throwing things at each other.
Oh yeah, yeah. What does that do for me? I knew. Here was the thing. I remember back in the day, there were critics out there that always caught flack because they start in they like every time they'd review a kids movie, right? They would do so from this like denigrating platform of like I have to review this independent of the audience that it's intended for, right?
Okay.
So I am a person with a master's degree and 23 years in this, and I find this storytelling juvenile. I find this insultingly bad. There is nothing here for adults. Two thumbs way the fuck down.
Yeah.
Don't waste your time.
Yeah.
Right? There is no room for that at this point because I want the critic that's specialized toward that field.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't mean that, necessarily that people can't have an expansion of this, but that demigod status of like, well, I'm the big reporter. It's like, you're not going to be that person.
Nobody's going to be that person anymore, man. That job doesn't even fucking exist.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So, no.
You're just, in fact, your voice is so minimal that they don't care about you. They look at the aggregate site.
Everybody does.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Nobody jumps on there and say like, I need to know what Richard Roper thinks about this.
Yeah, no, nobody cares about that. In fact, outside of like this coffee table, I don't think I've ever heard anybody talk about film criticism over the last like 4 or 5 years.
Oh, in any kind of serious capacity,
it's always like what's rotten. I mean, what's the tomato meter say?
And most of the time, it's for the purpose of saying like, "Wow, they got that wrong."
Sometimes it's that way, but otherwise it's like, oh, okay, well, I was gonna go see it, but fuck it, if it's that bad, I'm not gonna bother, kind of thing. But that's it, man. I mean, nobody even games broke that one a long time ago, where you got to the point in time where you realize games journalism is just this absolute fucking cesspool. So, and the Kotaku still tries to barf up, articles from time to time reminding me it's like, oh, well, nobody's playing fucking Hogwarts Legacy now. Ha ha ha. It's like, bro, look how much money they made. So everybody loved that game. They're probably gonna make another.
Well, this proves that it doesn't have legs.
This proves that the whole movement was bullshit. It's like, oh my gosh. So as much as I try and scrub it off my phone, it's like car wrecks happening right outside your house. You have to go outside and take a look.
Right.
You have to go outside.
It is so pathetic. Like just oh Lord, like I can't even imagine. Like if I were to go back in there, if I were to read articles, like if they were putting reviews together like that, if I bought that phone book called PC Gamer back in the day, and I was reading, if I were reading reviews like that in that magazine, right? That thing would be lining a birdcage so fast, and like, are you nuts?
Yeah, no, it wasn't like that back then, man. So it was completely different. Now you could tell that a lot of reviews were bought and fucking paid for. So
Yeah.
but it was also one of those things where there were definitely some standards and they were going to sit there and try and shove some kind of activism in your face back then. It was still a nerd
You
community.
might get a mention. You might get
Maybe.
you might like they may actually point like if a game back then, like say for example, if we looked at like Rainbow Six, right?
Okay.
If there were something you might get a mention, something else like I found it fascinating the way that Rainbow Six dealt with the changing, political landscape of blah. One sentence, that's all you get.
Yeah, if that, man. I mean, like the only kind of activism you see is like against excessively violent games. So
Back then?
yeah, back then, yeah, that would be the only thing that you would see from time to time. Say it's like this game is grotesquely violent; it's just over the top kind of thing. That would be like the most kind of pushback you would see in that magazine. So on that, and I mean, there were people who would say things like that. It's like, yeah, no, that's when they came up with
Oh,
the
you know what?
MSRP shit.
I
and
was
stuff,
I was
yeah.
thinking it was like what games would be getting that? Because they didn't like go after like Mortal Kombat and shit like that, but they did go after games like Postal.
Yeah, exactly. Games like that, or games where you actually played as criminals. So yeah.
Right, right.
So I remember them going after Max Payne, the original Max Payne, for being like having too much blood in it. So yeah,
Blood in that game?
yeah. I mean, when you shot guys, they bleed out. If I'm not mistaken,
A little bit, but I mean, you didn't notice it because you were
it was the amount of people that you shot.
that.
Yeah, it was the amount of
well,
people.
we
that you
joked
shot,
about
yeah.
that. That was.
Yeah, it was like I just cleaned out half of New York City. Yeah, so
It's like you guys are really all on the take. I'm like, all right,
yeah,
all right.
yeah, that's right.
It was like you guys actually have more criminals on your payroll than the city of New York has employees.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I got that. Okay, I can understand that. We were all just kind of like focused on like, dude. So I jumped over this trash can in slow motion, spun around, blew away 4 dudes.
Yeah, shot him in the face. You know, in bullet time. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I could see that.
Yeah, but even like so, there was even some like stuff they were talking about Skylines the other day. So the new one coming out, and like there were all kinds of like fucking barking seals clapping because they're gonna actually model homelessness in the game. So
That's hilarious.
I know, and I was like, you fucking guys, they're like, yeah, this is a big issue, and we want cities to be, like reflect real life, blah 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 blah. So and it's like, no. Okay, I very much so doubt that they're going to model homelessness as a consequence of drug addiction in this game. So you guys are all sitting here talking about it's finally we got a game that realistically models poverty. I'm like, fuck off with that.
Okay, so let me tell you how exactly poverty is going to work in that game.
Yeah,
If you have X amount of this and X amount of this,
yeah.
with this, minus amount of this, you will see homeless
You see
people show
homeless
up.
people. Yeah.
Right? It's like pooping in the water. And on top of that, if you don't want to deal with the social burden of like, so if that game had the balls, right?
To shoot the homeless is a
Oh
policy.
yeah. No, well, okay, no, I wasn't gonna go there, but like if the game had the balls to go in there and you go in the city, like the little side menu where you get to click the individual things. If you had the game had the balls to let you put an X next to Sanctuary City, so that
yeah.
Texas could start busing immigrants to. All right, if they had the fucking nuts to do that, I would respect that.
Okay.
Absolutely. Now,
That'd be a pretty mighty piece of satire. Yeah.
because you're like, all right, so what's my solution? And you're like, all right, well, so I'm gonna build like checkpoints.
Right. Yeah.
We will stop these at the major highways, right? Or whatever. Or you're gonna be like, well,
build guard towers.
or you're just kind of like, all right, so I have to let them stay in the hotels for free. These are the consequences. All right, I could see that because the cool thing about that is you're simulating a city.
Yeah.
There's not necessarily a right and wrong thing going on here.
Well, Skylines has never been, ambiguous about what they think is the right ideal kind of city. So
No, they're like, here are the tools, man. right?
No, they're very much so. They should be highly educated. It should be green as fuck. Okay, so it should have tons of social services. It should nationalize its industries. So they have always been very clear about where they stand on like this is what an ideal city would look like, and we're gonna bake that into the game, and you're gonna like it. So you know,
Yes,
so
but
yeah,
you are at your discretion to decide whether to employ that.
that is true. That is true. But you know, when you put all the silverware on the table and there's 5 forks, okay, you're kind of expected to use them in order, you know. So you don't have
Oh,
to. You could be that fucking barbarian who picks up your food with your fingers. You know?
well, no, yeah. So you go to the
So,
dip switch and you say like hillbilly manners, right? And
yeah,
you just,
exactly.
you just, yeah, you're seeing like you can see your city basically like eating a steak with two hands, right? That's why, because we've done stuff like that.
Sure.
We've done
Yeah,
stuff like that.
stuff
We've done that basically in the name of personality. That's where you have to say like, I have to allow these problems. It's like when we started playing the game, right?
Mhm.
Because this was part of the game was if you didn't learn how to optimize the city, you don't get to play with it. You don't
No.
get to because if you don't optimize it, you're like, fuck, I have no curved roads.
Right. Yeah.
Right? You know, this is what I'm talking about. So you have to get in there with the you have to learn the optimal strategy, and that's where the green things come in. That's where it comes in like because you get to a point where like there's no reason to not build solar plants. There's no reason to
Yeah. Eventually, it forces you into that choice. It's a false choice, but
right.
it's still a choice.
But you can sit there and say like in your own mind, you're like, I have a coal miners union here. And there is a strong component of here that will have my job
Yeah.
if I betray these guys and say, guys, no coal, no oil,
Oh yeah.
no
Well, your
oil.
roughnecks are out if they start rioting. That'd be a rough riot.
The same thing. Like I could see people like actually I could see like I don't know like hardcore death cult people like you can't just burn everybody.
Yeah. Well, you Jews.
You
You
know,
know? Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. It's like, you know, and I don't think it's gonna be so detailed to the point where like I go into a neighborhood and say like, you know, I've outlawed check cashing places, or
Yeah. So no payday loans allowed. Yeah.
now if it got that intricate, I wouldn't mind,
Yeah.
right? And again, if it said like, yeah, we're gonna bus in immigrants, or if you say like, actually, we're gonna bus out immigrants. I mean,
Oh
that
yeah.
because that's my city. That's my city. It's not your job to moralize on it.
Well, yeah, but they do some in that game. I mean, the developers are from Sweden, so you know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's really really clear. You know,
Sweden has ideas,
Sweden does have ideas.
and they enforce their ideas with very selective laws. You know, it was man, what did I watch? I watched something about basically the future of Italy.
Italy's kind of
There
rough,
is
man.
no future for Italy.
Yeah.
Man. They are in worse trouble than
Yeah.
they're up. They're worse than like Japan in terms of.
Yeah. I've seen things that Japan's actually going to be okay. So
Yeah, I've heard they've actually loosened their immigration policy.
yeah, but it's still really really hard. And it's not so much about like you know shrinking population. It's just like having more like pro-natal policies. So you know in place where it's not so like subsidizing things like daycare and
Yeah,
schools and stuff
yeah.
like that. So it's not such a pain in the ass to have kids. So you know, like even here in the United States, man, people bitch all the time about how expensive it is to have a kid. It ain't that pricey if you do the math on it. Over the course of 18 years, it's not that much. So, I mean, you pay more in car payments a year than you do in raising a kid. So, well, it depends on what kind of car you have.
Depends on the car. Depends on the kid.
Depends on the kid. Yeah,
there is.
exactly.
There,
Yeah.
sometimes you can tell. Like,
But in like
oh
other
my
countries,
God.
it's really fucking expensive. So, you know, and yeah, Italy is like it's actually like 2 countries, and so there's northern Italy, which is still
Yes,
okay.
that's what I was seeing.
And then
Well,
there's
there were quadrants in northern
there
Italy
are
that
yeah.
were fucked.
Yes, exactly. But then there's like if you go south of like Rome, so it's like yeah, you want to buy a house for $1, Sure, we'll sell you a fucking house for $1. Yeah.
Buy this whole neighborhood.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think they'll probably. I mean, some people take him up. Like I did rewatch that thing on Japan done by that guy that you were talking about the other day.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that was actually really good. Polymatter.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that one was actually really good. I had missed that one. That one was like a couple months old. I had missed that one. So.
You know, it was new-ish, but I knew
Yeah.
it wasn't just because the one that just came out was about Taiwan.
Yeah, there was a Taiwan one. So, oh yeah, well, yeah, we can talk about that too. But I think we did last time. So
We got into it, and that may have been
is that where we stopped last time? It might have been.
Well, it may have been where I know that we got into it a little bit, but I know that we kind of like paused when we were talking about that portion of the world.
Oh,
Right.
Yeah.
We didn't even go domestic. The absolute circus about the indictments in the past few days has been ridiculous.
I've seen a little bit of that. I haven't seen the actual charges in Georgia yet. I'm waiting for my guy, my legal guy. He'll post on it this weekend. So it's kind of fill me in on the corners of those.
Go ahead and speak to your guy.
Yeah.
I'm very interested to see the perspectives. Because from what I saw of this, like, this is absurd.
So yeah, he basically said the same thing about all the DC charges last week or 2 weeks ago. He is concerned about the
militarization of the DOJ.
Oh no, I mean,
I am.
yeah, that'll change in a couple of years. Not even probably a year, a year and a half. So, but then the we talked about this last time. The papers. So he's a little concerned about that one because it's basically an open shut case. So whether or not you punishment fits crime, he argues that should be up to 335 million American voters next fall. I'm inclined to agree with him. So, but I haven't seen his take yet on. I watched a little bit of Ben Shapiro's take, but man, that guy, I cannot keep up with him. So he talks way too fucking fast. So I like him. I like a lot of his ideas, but he's trying to explain shit to me. I think I get lost on it a little bit. So.
Well, Ben Shapiro. Okay, so not that I have necessarily a problem with the ideas, and I do know that sometimes he's like hyperbole of himself, but usually not as bad as a lot of the other guys.
Yeah, no.
My only problem with him is basically like listening to Ben Shapiro is like listening to the Beastie Boys, right? Now, I know that there are people that love it, right? But there is something to the timbre of one of their voices that, as much as I like the song, after about 2.5 minutes, I'm like, I've had enough of that.
Oh, okay.
Your message and your music is now lost because I cannot stand the sound of your voice. Case in point, no matter how technically great Rush is,
right,
the sound of Geddy Lee's voice will grate on me after about 2 minutes.
Yeah, me too. I'm the same way. Now, that's not what bothers me. Well, that's part of what bothers me about Ben Shapiro. You're right. He's a little hyperbolic from time to time.
A little bit. He's not as bad.
He's no Hannity or Riley or any of those guys. Who are like, oh my god, or even Tucker. My gosh. guys. Yeah, but then but Ben Shapiro is a lawyer, and so I was listening to him about some of this shit because I was like, all right, lay it out for me, man, because when it comes to legal shit, sorry, man, I don't listen to fucking I don't listen to Downing's.
Well, I mean, Patrick, would you listen to a plumbing podcast if there weren't any plumbers on it?
No, I would not. Yeah. I mean, unless it was distinctly done as a comedy bit. So
you would know.
Right, yeah, you would know. Yeah, it'd be kind of set up before you actually get there. So yeah.
You wouldn't have any doubts. They would be being played up. There would definitely be accents. There would
be accents.
Yes, yeah. But you wouldn't turn to that. So
no, and that's why, like, with all the indictments and even so I did listen to Ben the other day. I'm curious to see what my guy has to say about this, about them swapping out Hunter Biden's attorney ducking out.
The reasons for that seemed odd.
I don't. Yeah, I'm gonna need someone to tell me why you would do that as an attorney. So
After the plea was basically walked out by the judge,
it was. Yeah.
now you're saying you can't be the attorney.
Right.
Like, why not?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. Sorry, you're making those suspicious eyes at me. I don't know if it's like.
But you said that's the thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
But to me, it doesn't seem.
I'm not gonna make a
You
judgment.
suspicious eyes.
Yeah.
I'm Asian.
You want to go back to that part of the world? Huh? So I can see your hands though, man.
Those are just my eyes, man. We had adverse reactions to the sun.
Right.
This is the only way
I
our
thought that was
people
my
can
team,
survive.
so-
You? Oh, well, yeah, in your... What was that, the hypercolor skin? That shit that you could put your hand on and it changes the color?
Mhm.
Those shirts?
Yeah, you just press
Yeah.
it a
Yeah.
little bit. You're supposed
Oh,
to
God.
toaster radiation and a fucking good sunburn.
That's just heat.
This is heat. Fuck that. I can't
Oh,
do that.
man, I need to
Yeah,
go to the
no.
doctor.
I can't eat that. It's got fruit in it.
Honey, call the office. I can't go to
I
work.
can't go to work. No.
All right, so catch up with your legal guys.
I'll catch up with my legal guys, see what's going on. He's had some pretty good takes lately that have kind of panned out, so we'll see. There's other two guys that I was watching today. They were actually talking about like the whole Republican primary. These guys are great because they're both left and right. So, and they actually like each other. So it's not like fucking Hannity and his
I was
Jimmy
gonna,
Carter.
yeah.
These guys actually like each other. So there's no Laurel or Hardy here. So, you know, but they were actually talking about whether or not Donald Trump should actually participate in any of the Republican primary processes at all. So,
Why?
yeah, that's well that was one guy's
What was
point.
it? Yeah.
Yeah. And the other guy was basically like, well, you know, he's going to have all this other shit going on. And so, you know, I mean, does he really want to be associated with every single time you see him on TV coming into or coming out of a courthouse? So, you know.
Well, right now it's working for him. That's his evidence of being against the system.
Yeah, so, but this guy's point was actually pretty well made. He says, all right, so that's not going to convince anybody who wasn't going to vote for him already to
Nope.
not vote for him. And it's not going to convince anybody who wasn't going to vote for him to start voting for him now. So he's like, so, you know, he's got to get over that 30% mark somehow, man. And so, you know, like, I don't know exactly how that's going to work.
The only question is whether or not those people have enough disdain for the person that is currently in power to basically go the other direction.
To show
And look,
up, yeah.
Look, all right, so
It's still here. It's 14 months away.
I'll end on this here, all right, because this was something. This comment of mine gained a lot of traction because this was, obviously the situation in Maui is tragic.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Right, that sucked. Okay,
Yeah.
the two things on this. So number one, coming off vacation. Okay, coming off vacation, being asked about the tragedy in Maui, and only saying no comment and walking away. You can go fuck yourself.
Did he hear the question?
Did he hear the question?
Yeah,
Or-
that's a terrible way to answer.
That was his answer.
Oh,
Okay. The other thing, of course, that I thought was, you know, particularly because after that he was on his way to another vacation.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Which, yeah, the thing that people glommed onto that I thought was funny because they said he's coming from vacation, no comment, going on vacation. I was like, how many fucking hours of PTO does this guy accrue per pay period?
Well, you can remember it's two things. It's age plus seniority. So, you know.
But people got a kick out of that. The other thing that made me laugh so hard was that Biden's account. That was the one where fucking the black mushroom-headed lesbian posted from Biden's account, from her account.
Onto his.
No, well, so basically on her account, she was saying, as president, right? So basically it was,
Oh, I see
she
what you're
forgot to
saying,
switch
yeah.
to her
Yeah,
alt,
yeah.
right? So, you know, they deleted that one in a hurry, but people screenshotted that
Well,
for
fuck yeah.
But I was like, you know, that's kind of funny. But I mean, the will there be enough contempt? I would argue possibly. It just depends on where you go, right? Because to me, like, the argument is, why bother with Hawaii when it's only 4 electoral votes that you're guaranteed to get anyway?
Yeah.
But either way, I was just like, God damn, like, this fucking guy, and like,
I'm curious if
what?
he actually heard the question. So, I mean, I've seen him. He
Well,
had
then
that whole
stick
thing.
around.
Well, yeah, he doesn't do that. So,
Right.
yeah. No, he never does. And really rarely does. I mean, but, you know, like, he had that whole thing. I saw this last week where he's changing thoughts like 3 times in the same sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd be surprised if he actually even heard the fucking question. So, or if he just assumed it was about his son. So, you know.
And look, I'm gonna put it to you this way. It's like, all right, your job as president is to have a comment about that.
Yeah.
And if you're leaving because you don't, it's like, well, I don't want to answer any questions of my son. Well, you suck then.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Yeah. No. I don't know, man.
That's it. Because that's the thing. It's like, I don't think anybody's going to be pushed into Trump's camp because they're seeing it was like, hey, I'm here at this thing. It's like, sorry guys, I just came from, court, and people go bananas. No, I don't think anybody's going to be like that.
Think so either.
But they're going to be like, I don't like the guy that's here now.
Yeah, but Bill's point on this one was that's not going to force people to actually vote for Trump. That's going to force people to stay away. So,
and that's I have argued.
Yeah.
I have argued, and I will still argue to this day, that refusing to vote for a candidate, at least for me, is a valid strategy.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Because to me,
yeah,
you need to be able to vote for a guy that you want to be your president.
It's absolutely fine to not vote. It is absolutely fine. So.
All right. Sorry. Okay. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's.
All right. I'm Pat.
I'm Jeffrey.
I'm hitting the button.
It's fine to not vote.